bags and shut the door. You crossed the sea to fight a war. You didn't know just what would happen to ya. Stepped in the dirt, boots on the ground, and gunfire was the only sound. And to yourself you whispered hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
That is Sailor Jerry, who is actually from Minnesota, and her version of Hallelujah. Beautiful, beautiful voice. What great words. I
Yeah.
love it. And I love that she's from Minnesota as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you go on to Facebook and like the Invisible Wounds Project, and then you can kind of follow the events that they have going on. I see the Cruise for Troops is on there.
Yep.
And then also I see that there's other things. You talk about words of encouragement for
Yeah. So,
people.
yeah. So, well, there was obviously this past week we laid to rest a Wayzata police officer, and he had a 7-year-old son. I previously, in my former life, before I was chief sales officer of Social This, I was a 911 dispatcher, and I actually dispatched for
Wow.
the officer. So, it's if you go to Invisible Wounds Project, you'll see there's a link there where we're asking people to send a note of encouragement and kind words to the officer's 7-year-old son, who's not ever going to have his dad back.
Yeah.
So it's like I said previously, and hopefully I've mentioned this, but it's certainly not about me, and it's not just about our charity. It's about doing things, just doing good, and connecting people to make a difference and,
Right.
and have an impact. That's what we're all about.
Right. And who better to do that for than the people that you're trying to help support, people
Yeah.
that risk their lives for us.
Yep.
They help us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fabulous. And actually, you're the first person that I've interviewed that has kind of combined the troops and the first
Responders. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Sorry.
and
Couldn't remember
well
the
and
word.
and honestly, when I was doing Cruise for Troops, it wasn't initially, hey, let's start a charity. It was, we wanted to make an impact, and the more we got into this, the more I saw lives changed because of PTSD and suicide. Even people on my own board struggle with things, and the more I realized that there was nothing out there. There's awareness, and it's one thing to be aware, but it's another thing to take some kind of an action. And there are organizations now starting to take action, specifically on the military side, but there's almost nothing out there. It's not talked about on the first responder side. You could have 10 cops together, and they could all go to a, massive crime scene, with body parts laying around. And
Yeah.
if you asked them, hey, how's it going? I'm good. We're fine. It's you don't talk about it.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest problems that we have, is that stigma of not talking about it.
Right. Well, and
know.
even making it aware. Like, I never stopped to think about the things that they see, and I never stopped to think about that they go to work, they see some horrible things, and then they are expected to go back and just be normal.
Yeah. So that drive home,
Yeah.
when I worked in it, the 40-minute drive time was great because it was some time to decompress, but you didn't fully decompress. And then, I remember coming back from paternity leave with my son, and the first call I took was a baby not breathing. This was
Wow.
when I was a 911 dispatcher, and there was a Citizens Academy in the call center, and so we had all these people around, and it was literally the first call I took.
What
of
is
that
the
shift.
Citizens
So sheriff's offices and police departments will have like the general public, hey, you can go through a citizens academy and see some pieces of what it's like to be a police officer, or what it is.
Okay.
It's just kind of a feel good thing. But they come through and they had searched, or they had toured the dispatch center. That day there was 30 of them in there probably, and the first call I took was a baby not breathing, and ended up being an assault. The guy who I was talking to ended up, assaulting this child, and
Oh no.
so that those are things that you just don't forget. And
Right.
and the other thing, I don't even know what happened to that child.
Right.
I don't know if they lived. I don't know if they died. I have no idea. And you don't learn those things. So being a 911 dispatcher, I'll just say this: it's one of the hardest jobs I've ever done in my life. It is the hardest job I've ever done, and they're often very forgotten.
Yeah.
Because they're the people behind the phone. There's not a face to them. People don't see them. They're just there,
Right.
and it's very hard. So that's why I, along with some other people, we developed the Invisible Wounds Project, because we want to raise awareness, but also have an impact and make a difference, and hopefully prevent the PTSD and suicide issues and mental health issues. When you're in those professions, you can't just go to the chief and say, hey, you know what, I'm not doing well. Well, you can, but you might not, depending on how it's handled, it might not be handled properly, and you might not have, the same job you had when you went in there.
Right.
Because if they feel that there's some kind of a liability, they're not going to, let you stay on as an officer, or they're.
Right.
It's all on a case-by-case basis, but there's been many situations where it's been mishandled. And so what we want to do is be able to be that outlet and provide them with connections to places where they can get help but not lose their livelihood.
Right.
Because when you take the livelihood from someone who's struggling and their ability to make a living, well, now what do they have left?
Right.
And so we want to build those people up. If there's people out there that are struggling with anything like that, reach out to us, iwproject.org. We'll get you in touch with someone who's going to be able to help you.
And it's all confidential. So,
Absolutely.
Which is great.
And if there's people that want to get involved, please check us out on our website, iwproject.org. We'd love to meet with you face-to-face next weekend, next Saturday at Cruise for Troops, running Aces Casino and Racetrack.
Yeah, that
9
sounds
to
like fun.
5.
And hey, if you've got a cool car or cool something that you can ride, sign up and join the cruise.
And even if you don't have something cool to drive, or you don't want to drive in the cruise, you should come up there and check it out, because really it's a moving experience. It's something really, there's something inspiring about it. It's something you have to see.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go up there with my son.
Well, I'd love to have
Yeah.
you. It's fun for the whole family. We've got jump houses and face painting and food and, music. And I think the Army's actually bringing some kind of a drag car out there too.
Oh, cool.
So, people can see that, and there'll be Humvees and, just different stuff.
Well, it
Plus
sounds
there's a monster
sounds like
truck.
a blast. Yeah.
Kids like that. And,
Yes, they
and
do.
one thing we're going to do too, we've got a car that was donated that we're going to, $5 for a round of 30 seconds to just do whatever you can to it with a sledgehammer. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I can
so
take some
something
aggression
like
out.
that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
If you're stressed out, come on up.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Russ.
I
It was
really
great
appreciate
having
it.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, everybody, make sure you go and see the Cruise for Troops. Spend a lot of money and donate a lot of money so we can help everybody. All right, I'm Dawn Eldridge with Remax Results. And remember, love yourself and love others.
Our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually